Welcome, winners, to another exciting episode of Kingdom Touch Downs podcast. I'm your host, Sherri Downs. Have you ever had a battle in your life and that battle cut in on you and stopped you from moving forward? Well, our guest today, Victoria French, is here, and she's going to share a powerful testimony of perseverance and favor. She's going to ignite you into your place of purpose and destiny with her testimony on how she persevered and she was persistent through every obstacle that was thrown at her. She was able to resist, she was able to overcome, and she was able to persevere. Romans 5:3-5 says, "And not only so, but we glory in tribulation, also knowing that tribulation worketh patience, and patience experience, and experience hope, and hope maketh not ashamed." So Victoria has persevered. She has come through. And as she kept moving with God, God showed her great favor. So she's going to share her powerful testimony today. And at the end of this broadcast, you're going to be able to understand what perseverance is, understand how to meet that perseverance, and step out on the thing that God is asking you to do. How to step out on your goals and actually triumph. You're going to know what the process looks like from Victoria's lens, and how you too can learn about yourself in perseverance. Welcome to Kingdom Touch Downs podcast, Victoria. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for agreeing to join me on Kingdom Podcast to share your story.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I know all the time we talk, so just let this flow like we're just talking.
Yes. So I'm gonna take it back to when I started college in 2003. So I went off to college. Was the first to go to college in my family, and I remember like yesterday, you guys were dropping me off and dropping me off in college, and just this is a new experience for me. I had never been away from home, so I was just like, okay. Did it freeze?
Nope, I still have you.
Oh, okay. So so I'm going, and so my first year was a bit much. I had some situations with my roommate and things like that. And it was just a different world for me, and it was new and it was scary. And I was just like, I can't do this. And I literally went home every weekend. Every single weekend I was at home, because I was just like, this is a lot. But needless to say, I continued to go back. Fast forward to 2008, February 14, 2008. I was sitting in class, in a geology class, and it was Valentine's Day. And, not many students came to class that day because, it was Valentine's Day. And I remember like around, we were about to get ready. He was about to let us out of class. It was around 3:00-ish. And so at 3:08, I see, like, I hear this big boom. And I'm just like, and it's like this guy is coming on the stage. And it's just like, okay, is this part of the class? And once I saw the teacher run, I was like, this isn't part of the class. And all I heard was open fire. But I was so much in shock that I just stood there like, wait, what is going on? And so a gunman came in and opened fire in my classroom. And so I eventually like fell to the ground. Like, it was so many people trying to like fill the aisles because, trying to protect ourselves and go to safety. And so all I remember is me saying, God, please protect me. God, please protect me. And I just kept pleading the blood of Jesus, the blood of Jesus. And I just couldn't believe like what was happening. And I'm trying
Okay,
to
so
down
here you are in the midst of your everyday routine. You're in college, young, kind of homesick, and you're having an experience where a gunman comes inside the classroom and you're shocked. And the first thing that you're like, God, protect me. And that's something, because sometimes like when people get into the midst of situations, they freeze up and they don't call on God. They don't know who to call on. So that is wonderful that in that moment you began to just call on the name of Jesus and asking the Lord to cover you and protect you. Powerful. Go ahead. I just had to step in there and kind of point that out.
Yes, because I'm like, can't nobody else help me right now. And this, that was my first instinct, like, God, in this moment, like. And so I'm like crawling and I'm just going into the other aisle and I'm just hearing my classmate cry and scream. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. And I stop because I'm at where I can't go anymore. And I'm looking, me and another student, we connected, like we had eye contact and she was bleeding. And I was just like, oh my goodness. Like, I couldn't even help her because any movement, I don't know what the gunman was doing.
Right.
But my eyes did go on him because he got off stage actually and came up the aisle. And I was just like, I just need to focus where he at. So, my eyes stayed on him.
So
and
when he came up the aisle, was he still shooting at people?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yes. And so it stopped and all you heard was cries in the room. And I'm just like, is it safe to get up? Is it safe to run out? This is what I'm thinking. And I'm just like, I don't know. So I stayed there for a moment and I saw another student get up and like hold his arm and run out. And I'm like, it's safe. And so I get up. Mind you, I had no shoes on.
Could you see the door from your location? Could you see where the door was?
Yes.
Wow.
So mind you, I had no shoes. I don't even know how my shoes were in my way. That's what I feel because they were off. But my phone and my keys were still on me and my coat because I had never took my coat off. And so I was like, okay, it's safe to run. So I get up and I look around and I just run. And by the time get outside, it's so many cops, ambulance, everything outside. And they trying to stop me. And I'm just like, and I just kept running. And I ran all the way to my room. And I did not stop. I don't even know how they found my room because they came knocking at my door like, we need you to come with us because we need to investigate. I'm like, how did they find me? But
I'm sure they pulled the class roster.
They had to because
who was in the class that day.
Or they could have followed me because they saw me run. It was so many cops out there. Like,
wow.
I don't know. Like, so it was, I mean, just that was traumatic. Even the interviewing process, like them asking us questions over and over. And then I'm just like, I'm still like in shock and I'm terrified. So I'm looking like, and then they're saying that he's still on the loose. So because they didn't know he had took his own life. And so, and I'm just like, he's still on loose. Like, okay, is he, so I wasn't trusting anyone, not even it was just like such a traumatic experience that it was just like, what, trying to process everything that had happened.
Right.
And so time went on. I mean, like I couldn't sleep at night. Like I will stay up throughout the night because if I close my eyes, I would just relive it and I didn't want to relive it. And so I would sleep during the day and then I could not sleep alone. So I would sleep with my mom. And I was just like, and then she was like, I gotta go to work. And I was just like, you're just gonna leave me? You know, it was just like, I didn't want to be alone.
Right.
So,
I'm sure.
And then I thought they were gonna just like dismiss school, let us have that time to just heal. But no, we had to go back in like 2 weeks, I believe it was. And they had counselors on, you know, campus. And I got involved with the support group who, you know, the students who were in the classroom with me, we all became close. We all began to share our experience. They had like outings for us just to have that support. So that was
right.
Really...
So let's be clear for our listening audience. Some people actually lost their lives in this school shooting. So it wasn't just that he came in and then killed himself. It really lost their lives. So this was truly a tragic experience, tragic for those that lost their lives in this situation. So it wasn't just kind of like a happenstance or, you know, a couple people got injured, this guy killed himself. No, there were lives lost. So going back to school and deciding or not being able to finish, let's kind of go there.
So yes, you're correct. 5 students lost their lives during that time, February 14th. So December 2010 was the date that, you know, I walked, that I was supposed to graduate. Okay. And I did walk, but I was supposed to go back and finish 5 or 6 classes. And so it was just, after that, I was just like, because it was still hard to be inside a classroom. It was hard to be anywhere, because at that point, at the grocery store, at church, I was trying to find exits. Like if
fear and trauma, post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Yes. And so I was just like done. I just was like, you know, and it was just like, that was still haunting me. Like, I need to finish. But I was just like, and then I'm gonna be transparent, I owed a balance. So it was like that obstacle, then not wanting to be in the classroom, then other issues in my life. Like, so it was so many things. And I just, I gave up.
Right.
And so I'm going through life knowing like this, like I need to finish. It was something that I wanted to accomplish for me. It wasn't, it hadn't to do anything with anyone. It was for me. And so, because no one was here saying, girl, get up, girl, go, you know? So you
essentially had to learn how to persevere beyond and be persistent in doing something, finishing school despite the difficulty or delay in achieving this success. You had to learn how to persevere and be persistent in completing something where otherwise you could have allowed the circumstance that which hindered you. The scriptures talk about who cut in on you, who stopped you from obeying the truth. And we know that scripture is talking about believing and following the new way as opposed to the religious law. But anytime you allow something to hinder you from progressing in a goal or an ordained path for your life, you have essentially allowed something to cut in on you. And that moment of trauma and what that gunman did that day cut in on that goal of finishing that path that you were on. So ultimately, the Lord just kept bringing it back, and you had to learn to obtain persistence to complete it in spite of all of those obstacles that were in your way. Now, let me ask you this. Many people in our current world lack perseverance. What can you say to them, because you've essentially walked this thing out? What can you say to them to help them to walk in that way so that they can develop perseverance?
I would simply say, find out who you are. Like once you master who you are and just tired of the cycles and tired of having to go through this situation over and over, you will begin to like your perspective will change, and
So good.
you will want to just keep going, and you will find that fight to overcome whatever come your way. And that's how I did it. I had to get my emotions intact. I had to really look myself in the mirror a lot of times and say, how bad do you want it? Because it's not just gonna come to you. You have to go
So
get
good.
it.
So
And
good.
if you don't go get it, it won't get got. So
Yeah.
it's really up to you to really keep going, even when things knock you down. So many things knock me down. So like when I couldn't register because of financial situation, I had to go out. I had to like literally sit and say, okay, what else can I do? Then I said, oh, I can go take classes at a community college, and the classes would transfer to NIU. So you just gotta, use your resources and find different avenues if that way or that door is closed.
So good. So learning how to master self and being determined to break cycles and change your perspective. Now, let me ask you this: were you like a generational curse breaker and the first to go to college in your family and actually get a degree?
Yes, that's why it was so hard.
So oftentimes when we're the first, we have to kind of like meet that resistance to break open the way. And it sounds like the Lord was certainly with you in doing that. For those of you that are out there and you're going through something that you have to persevere through, maybe you're a college student, maybe you're somebody that you have a financial goal that you're trying to reach. I would encourage you to set that goal, make those goals measurable, and see how they are obtainable. And then another thing that I would encourage you to do is get a support system around you. Did you find yourself having a support system that was pushing you, that was encouraging you, that was telling you to get back and you could do it? How did that look for you?
Yes, I had the best support system around me. The encouragement, the text message, even like me being real, like, okay, like when I came to you and Sylvester, and then I'm just like, I didn't, pass this class, and you guys were just like, even the kids, like, it's okay, Tori, you can do it next time, just like that.
Sylvester is my husband, for those of you that are listening.
Yes.
Those of you that are listening, Sylvester is my husband, Sylvester Downs. And I also coach and mentor Victoria. So we have been kind of in this process with her of getting her back and finishing and meeting that goal. Let me ask you this: did the process change you?
Definitely. I looking back, I'm like, I am not the same. I'm like, even how I was sharing on yesterday, my perspective of things, just little things don't bother me anymore. It's like, if it comes, I'm like, okay, what is the word saying? What did God say? And okay, I'm gonna leave it where it is.
Yeah.
God, I'm giving it to you. This is where I'm leaving it. I'm not taking it on because it's not my battle. And then I'm just continue to go through life, because usually I'll just shut down. Like if an obstacle come, a situation come, I would shut down before. But now I'm just like,
so good.
I'm like, nope. you know, and I do different things
Change.
to help me
Right.
not go back to that place. Either it's I have scriptures up like around my wall, or I play worship music, or I call someone, like, you know, just to talk it out. So I
Phoning a
have,
friend always helps.
yes.
Phoning a friend that has the right perspective and a friend that
Right.
understands where you're headed and where you're going. Galatians 6:9 says, and let us not grow weary in well doing, for in due season we shall reap if we do not faint. And Proverbs 24:16 says this, for a just man falleth 7 times and rises up again, but the wicked shall fall into mischief. One thing that I know about life is you have to get up when you fall. You have to keep going. You have to keep pressing towards the mark for the prize of the high calling of God, which is in Christ Jesus. And that high calling is to fulfill the destiny in which God has created you to fulfill in the earth. This process can ultimately change us for the better or the good, but we want to become Christ-like in everything that we do. And you may be walking that line towards perseverance. You may be persevering, believing the promises of God, believing for a better marriage, believing for finances and resources, believing for your children to be saved and filled with the Spirit of God. You might be believing, just like Victoria, to break some generational curses that are over your life and stepping into who God has called you to be. Going through that process can be tedious, but I want to encourage you to get people around you. Get those that will believe for you. Get those that will have the faith that you need to persevere to the end. Get those around you that will speak faith, that will encourage you to keep going. Listen, no matter how long it takes. I want to kind of highlight that it took you from essentially 2010 when you walked the stage to 2021 to finish that desire that God placed on you, and to walk in the fullness and to receive your deliverance from fear and trauma, and to actually be in another place where you can finish what you started. And that speaks volumes, because sometimes people give up. They don't keep fighting for it. They don't keep saying, I started this and I want to finish. And that's commendable. And when we become a finisher, when we become somebody that doesn't allow trauma, anxiety, stress, and resistance to stop us, we end up getting results. We end up finishing our course. We end up fulfilling the assignment that God has placed in us to do before the foundations of the world. So you learn so many wonderful things about yourself. Is there something else that we have not addressed that you learned about yourself in the midst of persevering to finish what you started?
Yes, the favor part of it. I know during one of my last classes that I needed to officially graduate, I had I had favor in my class because my teacher, like, I missed a test and I was just like freaking out. And I emailed her like, oh my gosh. And she put LOL. She's laughing at me. She was like, it's okay. You can finish it, or I'll give you until such and such time. And even when like a score I didn't like on my quiz, she literally FaceTimed me and sat and just went over the answers with me, and then had me turn it in to up my grade. So it was just like, oh my goodness, like it was just that help. And then I say, for me, like, I was not the type of person to reach out to my professors. I'll just, if I didn't understand, I'll just be like, oh well, but this go around, while I was finishing, I was reaching out like, okay, I don't understand this, and then I don't get this. And so she was just so kind. And after the class, after I passed and finished, she just congratulated me and just wished me well for the future. So I was just like, whoa, God.
So
like,
you found out you had favor backing you up. You found out that in your persevering, in your walking by faith, as you stepped out, the Lord was meeting you every step of the way. And what you could not do, favor stepped in and did it for you. And that's so powerful. But here's the thing. It was when you got to the end of yourself and you had went as far as you can go. Like, Lord, I don't know how this is going to happen. I'm at the last class that I need to obtain this degree. I am at the doorway of this completion of this season of my life, and completing a desire and breaking a curse, essentially. And it's like the Lord was like, that's okay. I'm stepping in and I'm going to touch the heart of this instructor to open the doorway for you. And that's just like our Lord. When we meet when our faith steps out on his word and steps out trusting him, he is there. He goes before us and he prepares the hearts of men to be a blessing to us, to open doors for us, to show us favor and kindness. All throughout scripture, we see when men and women decided to trust God and go with God's word, go with God's process, step out in faith, the Lord always touched the hearts of those that were the doorway or doorkeeper to the promise or the path that God ultimately wanted them to travel. So that is commendable. Friends, I want to encourage you to keep walking by faith. Keep trusting in the Lord, no matter how it looks, no matter how long it's been. God can meet you when you step out on faith and when you trust him, just like Victoria's story. She couldn't control the circumstances of her trauma. She couldn't control the circumstances of what happened to her, but she trusted God to help her finish. And the Lord not only gave her the strength and the people around her, the support system she needed, but favor met her on the other side. Favor met her at the doorway. The Lord began to turn the hearts of those that had the key to finish what she started. I want to encourage you. Go to my website and purchase Don't Be Bullied by the Devil. Take authority and fight back. As I'm listening to Victoria's story, I'm reminded how the enemy tries to bully us out of our destiny, how he tries to strategically cut in on us and plague us with trauma, fear, and so many things to stop us from completing goals and stop us from believing God for the promise. But I want to encourage you to sit in your seat of authority and take back everything that the devil stole. And it starts with understanding the keys of unprecedented praying power. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. For those that are on YouTube and those that are on our other platforms, thank you for subscribing and sharing and rating our podcast and liking our YouTube channel. Don't be a stranger. Connect with us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and we love you with the love of the Lord, and I love you with my love. Be blessed.